3 full stop, and landing 13 left if that's available.
Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, Palm Springs Tower, squawk 6250.
6250.
Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, Palm Springs altimeter is 2985, radar contact about 10 miles west of the Palm Springs VOR. Presently landing runway 31, you're requesting straight in for 13.
If that's available, yes, please.
Remember, correction, Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, make straight in runway 13 left and clear to land. Wind is 0905.
Clear to land, runway 3 left, Papa Hotel Tango India Mike, thanks.
Palm Springs clearance, plus 4658 is type PC12 slam call, request clearance to Vegas S filed.
Plus 4658, Palm Springs clearance. Good afternoon, unable to give you S file and I'll be full route standby. Plus 4658 is cleared to the Las Vegas airport via Flight Cathedral 1 departure procedure to Palm Springs, Victor 370 to 29 Palms, Victor 538, Cresso, join the Cresso 3 arrival. Maintain 7,000, expect flight level 2405 minutes after departure, departure frequency 126.7, squawk 6316.
Plus 4658 is cleared to Vegas via Cathedral 1, Palm Springs, Victor 37029, Palms, Victor 538, Cresso 3, initially climb 7,000, expected for 0F25, departure 167, squawk 6316 plus 465.
Plus 4658, read back is correct. Tango to Mike, taxi to the ramp via Echo and this frequency.
Taxiing to the ramp via Echo, remaining on this frequency, Papa Hotel Tango India Mike.
Ontario Tower, Cessna 237 Charlie Alpha, approximately 4 miles to the west, inbound to land.
Number 237 Charlie Alpha, roger, inner left traffic, left downwind runway 26 left, report base.
Enter left downwind for 26 left and record your base, 237 Charlie Alpha.
Charlie Tower United 242 on the visual for 20 right, will be turning for a right base shortly.
United 242 John Tower, runway 20 right, clear to land, wind 170.3.
Clear to land, 20 right, United 242.
Papa Tower King at 208 Kilo, ILS 54.
Here 520 Yankee Kilo, Palomar Tower, runway 24, clear to land, wind 210 at 11.
The land
Number 237 Charlie Alpha, runway 26 left, clear to land.
26 left, clear to land, 7 Charlie Alpha.
Palm Springs ramp plus 4658 east ramp with weather going for taxi.
Plus 4658, Palm Springs ground, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Trail right via Echo Bravo 465.
Riverside Tower, good morning, November 2903 Alpha with you on the ILS.
Number 2903 Alpha, Riverside Tower, good afternoon. Runway 9 clear low approach, report miss.
November 2903 Alpha, PH, low approach, runway 9, next report is good.
Palm Springs Tower plus 4658 ready to go 3 and right side Bravo.
What's the radio area check?
Plus 4658, Palm Springs Tower, runway 31 right, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff 3 and right plus 465.
Palomar Tower King at 520 Kilo, 58
Here's our Yankee Kilo, roger, taxi into the ramp via Alpha.
via Alpha.
Plus 4658, contact SoCal departure.
Contact departure 465.
Cessna 7 Charlie Alpha is clearly active, taxi to the GA parking base.
We're 7 Charlie Alpha, remain on this frequency, taxi into the south ramp via Sierra.
South ramp via Sierra with you, 7 Charlie Alpha, thanks.
Number 2903 Alpha going around.
Number 03 Alpha, confirm going around or going missed.
November 2903 Alpha going missing.
Number 03 Alpha, roger, execute the published missed approach procedure.
Flying the published mid-approach procedure, November 2903.
Piper 2903 Alpha, contact SoCal departure.
Contact departure, 03 Alpha.
Number 03 Alpha, departure frequency will be 135.4.
135.4 for departure, November 2903 Alpha.
Ontario Tower, November 516 Delta Mike, inbound ILS 26 left.
Number 516 Delta Mike, Ontario Tower. Good afternoon, Ontario. Wind is calm. Runway 26 left, clear to land.
26 left, clear to land, 6 Delta Mike. Ontario Tower, November 36. Correction, 516 Delta Mike, clear of the active at uniform, taxiing to the south apron.
Number 6 Delta Mike, roger, taxi on the south ramp via Sierra. Remain on this frequency.
Via Sierra on this frequency, 6 Delta Mike.
Riverside Tower, good evening. November 2903 Alpha is windy on the middle coast on the east. Service to this with left-hand downwind on the east.
Number 2903 Alpha, Riverside Tower, runway 27, clear to land.
Clear to land on line 27, 03 Alpha. Riverside Route, November 2903 Alpha, in Alpha request taxi to the transient parking.
Number 2903 Alpha, Riverside ground. In the future, don't switch to the ground frequency unless you're told to do so. You should stay with tower, exiting the runway all the way to the hold short point. Stay on this frequency for now, taxi into the ramp via Alpha.
Taxi to ramp via Alpha, rocket. November 2903 Alpha.
Generating clear. Generating clearance. November 6th. Charlie Mike Cherokee. I would like to attempt the I-4 rating today.
Cherokee 76 Charlie Mike, jawline clearance. Good evening. Good luck on the I-4 destination. Will be, let's go, Kilo Oscar X-ray Romeo.
That's Kilo Oscar X-ray Romeo. 6 Charlie Mike.
Yes, sir. Good luck.
I'm going to sign off and collect some information for this destination. I'll sign back in. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Just report when you're back with the I-4. And how long do you think it'll be? It's not going to be more than an hour, is it?
No. I have to file and get some charts and plates.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll still be here, so it shouldn't be a problem. And we'll look for your flight plan to come through. And we should learn some.
Las Vegas Tower Plus 4658 is unusual, 1 on the right, 4500.
Plus 4658 Las Vegas Tower, runway 19 right, clear to land, wind 1807.
Clear to land, 19 right, 4658.
Plus 658 exit right, taxi into the ramp via hotel, remain on this frequency today.
Exit right, ramp via hotel, ramp frequency 58 468.
Ground number 953 Whiskey Alpha's Piper Comanche PA24/Alpha. Taxi the active VFR east departure with the weather.
Calling Long Beach ground, need you to just verify your call sign, please.
Sorry about that. 916 Whiskey Alpha, November 916 Whiskey Alpha.
Comanche 9016 Whiskey Alpha, Long Beach ground, roger. And just confirm VFR eastbound.
Eastbound and the east ramp just south of runway 25.
Comanche 9016 Whiskey Alpha, roger. Runway 26 right, taxi via Kilo.
Okay, 25 right via Kilo, 916 Whiskey Alpha. Long Beach Tower, November 916 Whiskey Alpha, holding short of 25 right Kilo, ready for departure VFR east.
Number 916 Whiskey Alpha, Long Beach Tower, runway 25 right, clear for takeoff, right downwind departure approved.
Clear for takeoff 25 right, right downwind departure 6 Whiskey Alpha.
Good day, Palm Springs. Ground scanning Hotel Tango on the East Ramp, India. Close traffic on the 31 right.
Papa Hotel Tango, do you Mike? Palm Springs ground, say again aircraft type.
For a Cessna Sky.
Skyline Tango, do you Mike? Thank you. Runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Echo and Bravo, 31 right. Papa Hotel Tango.
We're 791 Juliet, Torrance ground left clear.
Okay, Sky 791 Juliet. We see there's no clearance delivery with this field, so would we get our departure instructions with tower or with ground?
Always go with the lowest, so we'll start with ground. Just say your intentions.
Okay, Sky 791 Juliet. Type Cessna 172 on the south hangars with the numbers requesting VFR advisories to John Wayne.
Number 791 Juliet, roger. Departure frequency 134.9er, squawk 2061.
1249, that's 2061. Squawk 791 Juliet.
Got 901 Juliet, read back is correct. Are you ready to taxi now?
In a couple of minutes, just gotta go around to the side. It's Sky 791 Juliet, south hangars now ready to taxi.
Sky 791 Juliet, roger. Runway 29 right. Taxi via hotel. Correction, taxi via Alpha in Juliet.
29 right, taxi via Alpha and Juliet.
Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Good to see you, dogs. Welcome aboard 733. Good to see you, buddy. And a lot of auto hosts. AJ, Simdude, Marcus, Johnfly, Ground Point Niner. That's awesome, guys. Thank you so much for that support. Okay, so today we are going to fly with partial instruments, and I've discovered something cool. 3 things actually. One is kind of like related. The X-Plane 11 iPad app. I was already aware that X-Plane is also available for the iPad, but I was just curious and started it up yesterday, and suddenly I was actually blown away by the realism of the iPad version of X-Plane. And I just zoomed in on my primary instruments, and suddenly I found myself flying, practicing instrument flying while in bed with the iPad. And even though it's not a yoke and it's not that immersive, and I also noticed that the flight model was quite more easy or simplified in comparison to the desktop version of X-Plane, it was still quite interesting. So that's the first. Second, you've also got a X-Plane control pad app for free. I'm running it on a separate iPad here, which, as the name suggests, can control X-Plane on my desktop computer just on the same Wi-Fi. It's super easy. You just install it. It's just on the same Wi-Fi network, and there it is. And you can change everything. You can change weather, you can change your instruments, failures, you can change your altitude, you can reposition your airplane, you can set the visibility. Pretty much everything you can set just by the push of a button. It's almost weird, but quite handy for today, because I can now use my iPad, the control pad, X-Plane control pad app, to experiment with that partial instrument setting or scenario. I can just say, well, attitude indicator disabled, or give me a vacuum failure. There it is, just with the push of a button, which is quite handy rather than just pausing and getting to the menu. So that's a great discovery. Also, I will invite Mrs. Uncertified to jump with me on board in not the next stream, but the stream thereafter. The stream where I will still do partial instrument flying, so the next session actually of my stage 1 training, but then without me knowing what is actually wrong, what the failure is in my cockpit. And so I need to identify what instruments have gone wrong and then manage the airplane accordingly. And so she can sit down here next to me with the iPad, or even in the next room if she likes to, and just hit buttons, and I will get confronted with all kinds of failures and need to manage those. That's really, really interesting. So that's a big tip. The X-Plane control pad, I mean, I'm not that into the X-Plane iOS stuff, so perhaps you guys are already quite familiar with that, but I just discovered it and I thought, well, it's worth mentioning, I guess. Rob, good to see you. Snipe, good to see you as well here on board. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, it's going to be challenging today with that partial instrument flying. Never done that before, so that's interesting. Scandinavian, good to see you, sir. Yeah, the iPad, exactly. Keith, good to see you. We're all counting on you. Yeah. Oh, yes. And Scotty, good to see you as well. Hope you're doing well. And GPB, Greg, hey, good to see you as well. It's so it's getting cozy here, guys. Thank you for joining in here on a spontaneous stream. Didn't announce it. So partial instrument flying, my first experience, for example, I'm really looking forward to flying without the attitude indicator. In the last stream, I was flying on instruments in IMC for the first time. At first, quite challenging and confusing, especially the vertical speed indicator that was wobbling all around and was constantly trying to grab my attention. And once I once I did focus, fixate on my vertical speed indicator, everything went wrong. Rather than just centering my focus around the attitude indicator and making scan jumps from the attitude indicator to my heading and to my altimeter and my speed, which actually made the experience quite comfortable to fly in the clouds. I actually was making a lot of fun also with my steep turns. So therefore, I think it's also quite educational and interesting, valuable to see what happens if my attitude indicator fails. And I need to rely on my turn indicator and my heading indicator to see whether I'm making a particular pitch or change kind of attitude. So that's what we're going to do today in marginal VMC kind of weather. In the next stream, I'm going to do it in IMC. So just gradual incremental training, and I can use all the practice time in the world. So why not? Yes, yeah, Keith, I know. I've also tinkered with ForeFlight. I never done that before. I knew that you could also project your position on the ForeFlight app. And I always and still believe that it's more interesting and more fun just to use the sectional on its own rather than projecting my airplane in ForeFlight and infer my own position looking at the chart. That was a subscription. Eike, thank you for the resubscribe. 2 months. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. That's really, really encouraging. Thank you and welcome on board. Oh yeah, the synthetic. Yeah, I know, Keith. Yeah. So first off, the position. I'd like to read the charts, but then again, also on that front, even though I use it and set it to display my position on ForeFlight, it was also kind of valuable because I know by viewing a lot of YouTube videos of real-world pilots using ForeFlight and using their GPS device and sync it to their ForeFlight, they are actually using that. So it might also be very educational to incorporate using ForeFlight with my position on the map as part of my instrument rating training. So that I will include in later episodes. And then on top of that, the synthetic vision, yeah, that worked as well. Quite interesting. Felt like being in an airliner, which is or in a Cirrus or something like that. It was quite interesting. More interesting than I thought. Thanks, Eidke, again. Much appreciated that resubscribe. You're my first you're my first resubscriber. That's awesome. Thanks. Yeah, Keith, exactly. And following your advice, you told me a long time ago. Okay, so again, partial instrument flying. I just can push here buttons that say airspeed indicator are stuck. I can also just set particular systems to fail, for example, the pitot tube to get stuck or whatever. Again, check out the X-Plane Control Pad app. It's free on the iTunes or the App Store. So not a lot of preparation going on. Again, we are at Oceano, lovely Oceano. I'm just going to fly around as usual in the previous episode, in the previous streams, just around Oceano. I'd like to be on PilotEdge because I never flown without being on PilotEdge, even though that's not a safe thing to do. We're currently at marginal VMC, but also in IMC. I just like to be in Echo on PilotEdge because I cannot live without it. So that's why. And also here in Echo, I think it's kind of okay. But again, in the real world, I would have an instructor here in the right seat or a safety pilot that then looks out of the window to make sure that I don't fly in terrain or other stuff. But still, that's not what we're going to do today. The benefits of a flight sim. Hey, Avina, good to see you as well. Hope you're doing well. Morto, thanks for the follow. Okay, so again, no planning. I'm not going to look at the weather either because I also preset my weather to set marginal VMC here. So you can see some scattered clouds. And again, guys, I'm kind of digging the default X-Plane 11 weather. I was already familiar with what the weather looked like, but again, in comparison to X-Enviro, I think it's more pretty and more reliable because I know when I'm passing these clouds or here, I know that I wouldn't suddenly fly into unrealistic IMC suddenly, which is the case with X-Enviro when you believe that you're just clear of clouds and suddenly, boom, you're in IMC, which is very, very annoying, especially if you're practicing VFR flight. And that doesn't happen with X-Plane. It's also much more 3D-like. I really like the cloud formations or generation here in X-Plane. Still though, the METARs are not that reliable, so I'm actually hoping that they will improve upon that. But still, that's the weather preset, no winds, very, very, very basic. So I'm just going to take off again, runway 29, and have fun with partial instrument flying. And just see, we're going to fly without the airspeed indicator. I already have some experience with that. Keith also messed me up one time at St. Louis, I believe, also with landings. But then again, if you have outside view, you can infer your speed by looking at the terrain. And there are other signs, I guess, but still, that was kind of okay. But I guess in IMC, which we're not going to practice today, especially when you're on an approach, getting nearer to the runway and you don't have a speed indicator or an airspeed indicator working, interesting. So that stuff is going to be much more relevant, I guess, in the next stream when we're going to go full IMC. All right. Enough talk. In the cockpit, trusty. Oh yeah, that was the third thing. SimCoders just announced that they are going to showcase their next reality expansion pack today at 2100 Zulu on SimDude's Twitch. SimDude is going to show off and also give away some free licenses of that next reality expansion pack. That's awesome. I'm hoping, as I have mentioned so many times on the stream, that they actually listen to my tweets and replies and my poking on on Twitter, that reality expansion pack will be made for the stock 172. Usually they're making that stuff for the Coronado airplanes. I don't know if there's any licensing problem there for them to make a reality expansion pack for the stock 172, but I'm so much hoping that they did, because they were kind of reacting positively at the time when I mentioned, hey guys, Explain 11 is out, I love the 172, make a reality expansion pack, it's such a no-brainer. So I'm hoping that today that reality expansion pack will be released, because I'm a big Sim Coders fan, and I still hope that I will get a little bit more realism in terms of engine behavior and that kind of stuff. Also some walk around things. Yeah, Keith, I know. Let's get flying. Seatbelts fastened. There we are in the cockpit. Thanks for the follow here. Thank you and happy Wednesday. Parker brakes are set. Live fast, fire extinguisher lamp is there. Doors closed. ELT set to auto. This stuff is not interactive. Flap lever is up and my flaps are up. My levers are working. Just a side tech check. Fuel tank set to both in. Circuit breakers nicely tucked in. My switch panel is working too. Only the beacon is on and my avionics are off. Good. Flight control test. To the right, that one goes down. That one goes down as well. If I go to the left, I should also check the other one actually. Good. Elevators work. My trim is working. Rudders work as well. Good. Then batteries on. Well, obviously we got enough fuel. We're just gonna fly here in the vicinity of Oceano, outside of all the deltas and stuff. So that's good. Avionics are on and they seem to be working just fine. At least the displays work. Flaps go down. They go down in sync. Fully down. That's good. Back up again. This